Hey, Hughes. Now I acknowledge that Black Lives Matter. I also acknowledge that it's wrong to respond All Lives Matter. For example, if someone calls the fire department to cry that their house is aflame, the response shouldn't be to say All Homes Matter. Likewise, the slogan was meant to address a dire situation. Some black people have been murdered due to bigotry. That must stop. And I hate my country's history of slavery. I also acknowledge that some police have been murdered due to bigotry. Due to the actions of some bad officers, righteous officers are unfairly targeted. That must stop. Blue lives matter. But which human group in America truly suffers bigotry the most, and is there a color to represent it? I declare that this group is those with autism and similar mental conditions. Before explaining cases of persecution, I will start with color. From a website by James Sinclair, he said, "What color represents autism?" Well, the world of autism was a blank canvas for much of the 20th century. Increased autism awareness made us realize we needed colors to fly our flag and grab attention. Many gravitated towards the color blue due to its connotations with calmness and acceptance. Blue was also chosen as autism was widely considered a male-only condition. However, I must add that autism is predominantly a male condition, but not always. And almost as many females favor blue, the color blue, as do males. Also, blue is too common and overused and is already identified with police, so that's out for me. James thought red might be good since it has ties to passion and love, qualities autistic people are accused of lacking. But he also noted that red has ties to rage and anger. I must add that it's also problematic since it's often associated with flags of communist countries and has already been identified with the American Indians, the red man, long ago. James noted that purple is the color of the UK's National Autistic Society, but other colors were already used for autism, so that's insignificant. James also noted that purple is the most powerful wavelength of a rainbow. But since very few people know that, its significance is lost. He also noted that purple was associated with royalty. However, this reminds me of the rich man in the Bible parable of the rich man and Lazarus, who was clothed in purple and went to hell. Luke 16:19-31. Also, purple was the first color associated with the gay community. Moreover, purple is very unpopular among men, and again, autism is primarily a male condition, so it's out for me. James brought up the color taupe, a kind of dull brown, since it has an underdog nature, and its being toned down reflects a community who suffers from sensory processing issues. But other people outside the autistic community don't care about that. It's dull and uninteresting. It doesn't grab anybody's attention. He also noted that it's quite close to his website's color, so it gets his vote. But like I said, brown is extremely unpopular. So that's out for me. James also mentioned that instead of one color, a rainbow could portray the autism spectrum in its full diversity. But he noted its problem of being confused with the LGBTQ community. In fact, the rainbow is so intertwined with the alphabet people that people would automatically assume that we were in, LGBT, XYZ, ABC group. Due to the massive confusion it would cause, along with the moral objections of some, should eliminate it from consideration. James also brought up the fact of puzzle pieces being used to represent autism. But besides noting that puzzle pieces were an unpopular symbol, he also noted that the puzzle piece ribbon or hand, with their alternate red, yellow, and blue parts, are childlike. I agree. Almost all focus on autism awareness is on autistic children. It's like when we become adults, nobody any longer gives a shit. That must change. James also brought up gold, which he said is associated with enlightenment, optimism, and wisdom. Yes, it's much rarer than other colors, as autistic people are rare among the masses. And of course, real gold is very rare in real life and very valuable. What he said that I never thought of is that the symbol for the element gold is AU. I kind of knew that, but I didn't put two and two together. And he noted that the first two letters of autism are AU. So I see using gold as brilliant in more ways than one. Now, do autistic people suffer bigotry, and to what extent? First off, it's common knowledge that not only are most men with various mental conditions unable to be married, most cannot even get a date or ever having a long-term relationship with a female their entire life. They're terrible. I don't mean conditions like paranoid schizophrenia or adults with the brain of a 5-year-old. That's something else. I'm referring to conditions that society should be able to accommodate and work around. And most of these same men are prevented from obtaining good jobs due to our corrupt rat race system. While blacks complain about making less money on average than whites, mentally challenged white men make far less money on average than black men. And most cannot even get a date. Arr! Never have sex, never have a family and such. What kind of shit is that? What about murder? Consider that sometimes blacks, gays, or trans people, like straight white people, sometimes have a mental condition that invites bigotry and hatred. So in many cases, a person's being black or GLBTXYZ may have been overlooked and or tolerated without the added fact of also having a mental condition that invited stigmatization. Of the black people could also have the autism or Asperger's, and same with the gay people, and it was simply overlooked. So undoubtedly, many so-called cases of racial or other hatred were actually hatred against autism and similar conditions. A specific case involving one who is both black and autistic was Stephon Watts, shot dead by police at age 15. Caden Clark, 24, from Mesa, Arizona, was murdered by police. That this person was trans would not be immediately obvious, but the mental condition would be. Here are cases of straight white people being victimized. Autistic man murdered after police broke his door down, letting killer walk in, families say. The victim was Christopher Lascaris. Joseph Nathaniel Weber, 36, an autistic man from Kansas, was murdered by police. And Kelly Thomas, a 37-year-old homeless man diagnosed with schizophrenia, was beaten to death by 6 members of the Fullerton, California Police Department. See Death of Kelly Thomas on Wikipedia. I won't mention any more cases of stigmatization by police and regular citizens because the research depresses the crap out of me. So either change your priorities to that of helping educate the public about society's real victims, work toward building a society where everyone is treated fairly, treat people like me as equals, or burn in hell, rot in the devil's hell.